Welcome to After the Hype Reviews, where we give you classic gaming reviews, but after everyone else has had their turn dissecting the game. Today we're looking at Pokemon Scarlet and also Violet by association, but this review will speak from the perspective of owning Pokemon Scarlet. We'll be basing this video on these three criteria: initial expectation, first week reality, first month consensus, and my opinion. The release and announcement of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was made almost immediately after Pokemon Legends, and it would release 10 months later. Fans were excited to see the box Pokemon will be in the form of a rideable mount, allowing you to navigate the world faster than the usual bike and running shoes. First introduced in Pokemon Sun and Moon, this feature made the game all the more immersive for players and made picking and choosing your team all the more important for aesthetic and functionality. The Paldea region also showed a return of Pokemon being able to exist outside the ball, much like games before it. The biggest addition to the game was its seemingly open world co-op capability, letting you travel the world with your friends as you explore and catch Pokemon, something we saw on a minor scale on Pokemon Sword and Shield with the addition of raid battles. Now for the first week impressions, that didn't go in the game's favor. During the initial release, many players experienced heavy graphic glitches such as blinking shadows, getting stuck on mountainsides, and when online, other players' sprites would completely bug out, doing their best impression of wacky inflatable armed tube men. These graphical errors had players angry that after 27 years, Game Freak and Pokemon were just unable to get things right. Some experienced these glitches immediately, while others had barely noticed any problems at all. The positive we encountered were that these games were genuinely Pokemon's first fully open world game, using little to no loading screens between towns, and most of all the ability to participate in gym battles and villain arc in any order you wanted. Normally Pokemon games featured a linear story guiding our hero from point A to point B by means of accessible or inaccessible HMs, but in this iteration you'll be able to freely move from one area to another, meaning if your highest Pokemon is level 20, you can still interact with Pokemon and trainers far over your level. This game also introduced a new battle feature known as Tera-Pokemon, in which, like Mega and Gigantamaxing, gives your Pokemon a defense and offensive boost mid-battle, but this one primarily allows you to change the typing of your Pokemon. Example being your Fire Flying type becomes a pure Electric type regardless of its base typing. This opens up a new type of strategy when it comes to battling, breeding, and such. On the bright side, depending on who you are, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet received the most profit of any Pokemon game during the release week, with the 10 million copies sold in the first 3 days. Now after the first month of being released, we got our first patch update. However, graphical glitches were still being experienced, duplication exploits have been washed away, and the first event involving a Tera Charizard has been opened. Many are still very unsatisfied with the game and angry at the problems they experienced in the game's release. Some claim that Pokemon will still continue to release subpar games because the company makes most of its profit from merchandise and not actually the games. Although many experienced the graphical issues, it wasn't necessarily game-breaking or even experienced in great volume by most, and it seems people enjoy running through the region with their buddies. The game offers an incredible amount of tasks and places to explore, keeping gamers preoccupied during every moment of the game. Personally, I hesitated to buy the game upon seeing the graphical issues. It's always hard to tell what's going to be what when you watch pre-release reviews because there are often patches and fixes that occur almost immediately after release. My favorite part of the game is the ability to have a friend with the opposite version join the game so that you both can catch version exclusives while traveling the world and progressing the story together. Now you can't battle gems or do the villain arc with a friend in the sense of double battles, but that's to be expected, especially since everyone becomes a champion in their own singular right. But you can complete raids and the Pokedex with friends. They easily could have disabled story mode while in online lobby, but they made it so that you can travel the towns and continue the story with your friends nearby, completing it simultaneously or waiting outside a gym or whatever for them. When it comes to the version exclusives, they didn't add too many, so you won't have to spend days trying to find a friend to trade with. My biggest issue isn't with graphics or co-op, but what seems to be a lazy effort in creating new interesting Pokemon. On one hand, I love the third evolution of Mankey known as Annihilate, but I'm not a fan of the 1000th Pokemon of the series known as Goldengol. This Pokemon is obtained by getting 999 coins from the pre-evolution Gimme Goal. You obtain the Pokemon hidden around the map by simply pressing A or battling its treasure chest form, which gives you up to 60 coins at a time. Gimme Goal's evolution has been explained as looking like a cereal mascot, which honestly I can't help but to agree with. But it's obvious the company is short or lazy with ideas since we started getting keys, garbage bags, and ice cream cones as Pokemon. Admittedly, although I'm part of the original Pokemon generation, the game is catered to a younger audience and I believe it's fine to criticize, but the truth is we're getting old and the game is made for and centered around children. So take that as you will. Overall, I enjoyed this game extremely, especially the customization. Personally, any game that includes Afrocentric skin and hair gets automatic points from me, because although most don't relate, in a diverse world it makes the difference for some of us when it comes to being yourself in a game. All I know is I'm black and I'd like to make myself just like everyone else. So overall rating, I give the game a 7 Pokeballs out of 10. For more After the Hype reviews on games, consider subscribing and comment letting me know what game I should review next. Also quickly comment who you picked as your starter and which version you're playing. That's all for now. Thank you for watching and see you next time.